Husker Online, Nebraska's on 3 site, got all the intel for you. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple doing tremendous work over there, so make sure you have a membership to get all things that you need for fall camp and this season around Nebraska football. Got some intel as to what's going on so far out there in Lincoln. And there's a couple of things I want to break down together here. Before we do that, though, make sure you're subscribed also to this channel, the On The YouTube channel. If you're a Nebraska fan, appreciate y'all rocking with us. We've had a lot of y'all rock with us since this show got rolling, so thank you for that. But if you want all the content around your Huskers and around college football, period, make sure you are subscribed. So the first thing I want to make sure we tackle as camps, it's just getting rolling. So there's not a ton to chew on right now, but some of the intel, some of the buzz right now. There's an alignment in expectations both internally and externally at Nebraska. And that doesn't happen everywhere, especially in year 3. I think year 3, some places are saying you got to go win the national championship, you got to make the playoff, you got to this, you got to that, and then internally within that team, you're like, we're just trying to freaking, as a staff, push this thing to a place where we can be competitive in every game and make a bowl game, and like that to us is success. That's not the case in Nebraska. I think there's a real sense of, okay, now we go in year 3. The first 2 years we're building it. The first 2 years we have liked to have more success, sure. But like now at this point in time, we understand what the mission is, and that's the same as what our fan base expects, which I think is to go compete in the Big Ten and have a chance to go play in that title game and find yourself in the college football playoff. Have to believe that's Matt Rhule's expectations, at least. But at the bottom line, I think that's really healthy. A lot of optimism heading to fall camp around A1 Dylan Raiola and his football marriage with Dana Holgorsen. Dylan Raiola last year had a couple of moments you just say, oh, okay, that's different. Wow, that's a throw we haven't seen here in Lincoln in a little bit, maybe since Taylor Martinez, if I'm not going too far back there. I just loved how much we saw Dylan Raiola play with more confidence under Dana Holgorsen. And it wasn't so much a thing where you saw him like talking more trash or being more like outwardly confident, but it was like a play style thing. He was getting from that first read to that second read, and when he made a decision, he was firing that thing. There was no second guessing or clutching the trigger, and I think that completion percentage you saw from him at the end of the season reflected that. I mean, he was hovering around 70% over the course of the entire time Dana Holgorsen was the OC. And people miss this. Dana Holgorsen last year was calling the offense that was not truly his offense. Like, he was using like different verbiage and things they already had installed to not totally change the game on his offense and Dylan Raiola in general. But now you've had a full spring, can have a full fall camp to put in your system. I think that's healthy, and I think Raiola is going to thrive because of that. Also, they've done a lot to help Dylan Raiola via the portal. Upgraded the offensive line, upgraded the weapons. What I've been told around the offensive line is that, and Matt Rhule kind of echoed the sentiment at his press conference to open fall camp, it looks how a Nebraska offensive line is supposed to look. And in the Big Ten, that's a non-negotiable. I mean, college football is a line of scrimmage game, but especially in the Big Ten, where you got to play the Michigans and the Iowas and the Ohio States and you got to go through some of those teams to go eventually win a Big Ten championship at some point in time over the course of the next few years. You have to have that. Much less protecting your year 2 quarterback. You have to have that. So for that to be a spot they've arrived now in year 3, really, really encouraging. Elijah Pritchett is, from what I've been told, one of, if not their best offensive linemen. They're excited about Rocco Spindler, transfer over from Notre Dame. They feel real good about that group. All right, so the bully ball is hopefully back at Nebraska to go with one of the most talented quarterback prospects you've had in the last, decade at Nebraska, if we're just going to go ahead and ballpark that thing. Now, the defensive line is an area to watch, all right? A lot of names, though. A lot of names. Riley Van Poppel is one I've been told to keep an eye on. Keona Davis, 6'5", 275 pounds. They're excited about him and how he's going to project. Williams Nwaneri, former 5-star edge defender transferring over from Missouri. Looking to see what he does during this fall camp. Needs a big fall. There's some, I think, cautious concern around that unit from the outside looking in. Here's the one thing I would say, though, if you're a Nebraska fan keeping tabs on all things fall camp leading into the season. The way that Matt Rhule does things is you have to earn a single digit. Like, you only get a single digit for your jersey number if you're a freaking dude. And I think it would be very Matt Rhule-ish for there to be some guys that earn a single digit on the defensive line that we're not talking about right now that end up being studs for you throughout the entirety of the 2025 campaign. Quick story on that. When I was at Baylor, it was Matt Rhule's 3rd year. And Graylin Arnold was lower profile guy for Baylor, played safety, good player, had a single digit the year before, earned a single digit yet again the following season when I was there at Baylor. And I don't know that Graylin Arnold was like making a ton of noise nationally. I think in Big 12 circles, people kind of knew who he was, but you're kind of still waiting to see a little bit on what Baylor was as a whole. Graylin Arnold got his second single digit in 2 years, was an All-American safety. Then everyone knew who he was. So I'm not saying it's going to happen on the back end like that, but I am saying just keep a pulse on who ends up earning a single digit and how they could pop. Because if you earn one of those, you're a dude. You're doing things the right way. You've earned the respect of your teammates, of the staff, all that. I would love so much to see like 1 or 2 single digits pop up on the D-line for Nebraska. So to round this out, again, we're very early on in the camp season. Nebraska's just getting rolling. We'll have a ton more notes going forward. But I'm always really curious whenever I get a chance to talk to folks close to these programs, what's the feel like? And Nebraska and Matt Rhule is a curious feel to try to break down for me when I'm trying to get intel on it, because I was at Baylor during year 3 in Waco under Matt Rhule. And so I'm trying to kind of ask about this to this person I'm talking to and try to compare the feel. And so I'm just telling them what I'm hearing from Matt Rhule in the press conference and comparing it to how it felt at Baylor. And I said, listen, he's talking about not being, on campus pretty much all summer, being with the family, talking about being kicked out of group chats with the strength coach and players and saying, Coach, go be with your family, go do your thing. We got this. We got this here. And I remember feeling as a player, I've said this before, but I remember feeling as a player during that summer leading into fall camp, dude, the way this team overall is so accountable to each other, so militant in the way that they do things, the way the strength staff does things. Corey Campbell being the guy who's running the show out there, was at Baylor as well, helping run the show. There's no way with the work we're putting in, the attention to detail we're putting in, we're not going to be good. Now, mind you, Baylor wasn't like a playoff team the year before, won the Big 12 the year before I got there. They were like average, won a bowl game. That was success for them, popped and then made the Big 12 title game that third year under Matt Rhule. And when I communicated that to the person I was talking to, they said, say that on the air. That is exactly how it feels right now. With all the work this team is putting in, with the way it feels culturally, feelings are deceiving, but I think it's true here. There's no way they're not going to be good, is the feeling. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. But for that to be the vibe and to Matt Rhule kind of have that year 3-ish feel to him when you hear him speak, talking about expectations, talking about the way they transformed the roster, all that, I'm really excited to see what Matt Rhule and Nebraska are this year, because I think the Rhule year 3 thing is very real. So that's the intel so far out of camp in Lincoln. Excited to get more notes from the folks out there as we move forward.